today I'm going to work on desensitizing Atlas to the main brush. So there I just went ahead and did the little short hairs by his withers, and as soon as that brush goes on his mane, I clicked and gave him a treat. So this time I did 2 strokes, click, give him a treat. And I'm going to kind of work my way up the mane here. And it's the sound that he's more worried of than anything else. So I want to make sure he's okay with that before I continue on. So I just do a couple strokes, and then as it's going through his mane, I'm going to click and go ahead and feed him. He's not too concerned about this. I just want to make sure that he's fine with it because it can be a little scary depending on your horse. And not necessarily the sensation. They usually like having their hair brushed, but the sound of it could worry them. So I just started off with at the withers with the short hair so that it just spent the shortest amount of time in the hair so you didn't hear the noise very much. And then I just built it up from there and worked forward. But he seems to be doing pretty good, so just brush and I'll click. I'm gonna add a couple more strokes. I'll click while I'm stroking and then I'll go ahead and feed him. So that's pretty good for his mane. Not too bad. He's got his head and neck up a little bit, but he's not super worried about it. So I just started with that 1 stroke and then 2 strokes and then 3 strokes, and then you can just build up till you brush the whole mane and then give a treat, and then you can fade out the treats too. And then I did his forelock there, so he wasn't too concerned about that. And I had to move the camera around, so just work on his mane a little bit. He wasn't too concerned about the forelock. Some of them can think it's really scary. Atlas more so thought it was really nice because he liked the brush on his face. So here he got a little worried, so I'm just gonna wait, and then I'm gonna just touch him with the brush and then click and then feed him. So he is a little weird about his poll in his ears, like you've seen in previous videos. Like he actually enjoyed the brushing, but the movement to bring the brush to his forehead kind of scared him a little bit, as you can see. So I'm just going to stop when he gets worried and then just desensitize him to the touch of the brush. So as soon as it touches his face, I'll click and then give him a treat. So click, and then I'll give him a treat. So I'm just pausing. I'm not gonna go faster than he wants to go. If he's worried, I'm not gonna just keep brushing because there's no sense in that. But so you can see he's still a little bit worried about his poll and his ears from, as you saw in the previous couple videos, I think. So we're just kind of doing the same thing we did there, is just I'm pausing and then just going ahead and waiting for him. And that was much better. He didn't really move a whole lot. He kept chewing throughout, so he wasn't too worried about that. And then we'll just work on this every day, and that response should really go away. But he's just got to learn that me touching his ears and his poll and his forehead are not a big deal, and he actually likes the brushing once we start brushing, but he's got to get used to that movement. So that looks much better. He didn't move his head at all. He let me brush his hair. That looked really good. That was probably the best time he did that. So I'm gonna move on to something else. I wanna work on brushing his tail. So I'm just gonna move that block back, and then I'm just gonna use my finger to move the bristles and make sure that he's okay with the sound by his hindquarters. So I wanna kind of break down everything, make sure he's okay with that sound before I start adding in the sensation of brushing his tail. So he's doing 3 separate things. So I'm in a different place, there's a sound, and then there's gonna be that sensation when I start brushing. So I'm just breaking it down. I just kind of move my finger a couple times on the brush and then click him since he didn't have a response to that. So then I'll go ahead and just brush the top of his tail, click, and then go ahead and feed him. So that worked out pretty good. That wasn't too bad. He's not worried about that at all, it doesn't seem. The mounting block's just kind of there as a little bit of a barrier. He is loose. He can leave if he'd like to and go back to his pasture, but he's just choosing to stay here. So then I'm just going to start and just doing those little baby tail hairs. And again, it's the same thing with the mane. So it's just that little tail hair. So it's nice and short. And then I click that and then build up to like the duration of the brushing. So, I'm not going in there and grabbing his tail and brushing it out right away. So breaking it down into little steps. So I just start on his butt so he knows I'm there, and then I'm just gonna brush that tail hair, and as I do, I'm gonna click and feed. And then this will progress on too. This is just the first step. Then I'll start grabbing the tail and then pulling it toward me and then brushing it all the way out. which I'll show in a little bit later video. But this is just the beginning of desensitizing to the mane and tail brush. So once he does pretty good with this, then we'll just let him be for the day and then build on it tomorrow. That looks pretty good. He wasn't too worried about the tail at all.